You're watching Malc Benjy, you lucky son of a bitch. Subscribe.
Oh, welcome to Malc Benjy's Vidcast. I'm Malc.
I'm Benjy. And, welcome to our second episode. Now, before we begin in proper, I'd like to apologise for the length of time between the last one and this one. Fans of the podcast will know that long gaps are not new to us. We both have day jobs and wives and families and things that get in the way. Not that wives get in the way. I'm digging a hole.
I don't think either of them watch.
Fair enough, fine. But, we were intending to make the vidcasts a bit more frequent. Mm-hmm. But I've had glandular fever. If you remember the last video, I had a cough and I was doing buttercup and whatnot.
It's quite good that we built that into the fiction.
It is now, we've retconned it to be...
We forecasted it,
but I ended up being very ill after that for quite some time, but we're better now. So.
Yeah. I think it's still probably faster than our podcasts usually are between offerings. So we've always been fairly eclectic. We're scheduled by the same people that scheduled Firefly when it was on in the States first time round, so God knows when.
Yeah.
So, what do we want to talk about this time?
It has recently been the Oscars in America. Whether you love them or loathe them, whether you think that they mean anything or mean nothing, they are the big awards ceremony, the biggest self-congratulatory pat on the back that the American film industry has. And British films did very, very well at the Oscars this year. You have indeed. Gravity winning Best Director. And admittedly, Alfonso Cuarón, is he Spanish?
I believe so.
Or Mexican? He is of the Hispanic persuasion. But the film was produced, written, funded, and made in Britain, starring two very...
made in space, surely. Sorry, carry on.
Starring two
magic.
very famous and skillful American actors, but it's a British film.
Sandra Bullock not Canadian? I don't know now. Oh, is she?
You're highlighting that I've not done my research.
Sorry. If it helps, I'm highlighting that I've not done my research as well.
She's American. Clooney is an Inuit from the Canadian Arctic, and the guy that played the other guy is two dogs taped together.
Clooney's Batman.
Oh.
And always will be.
Oh. And the other big winner of Best Film and various other awards was 12 Years a Slave. By Steve McQueen.
Not that Steve McQueen.
It's not the same Steve McQueen, because I saw a few Easter eggs there referring back to Bullet and Magnificent Seven. Is that not The Great Escape? No? Okay.
No.
Steve McQueen, former artist turned filmmaker, who's done some really good stuff, and this is obviously also very, very good. Chiwetel Ejiofor, who is known, certainly to me, for being the bad guy in Serenity and one of the main characters in Children of Men, also directed by Alfonso Cuarón as well. He's done very, very well. He got an award. Also, the female star of that film, Lupita Nyong'o, who is a new to Hollywood, a fairly young actress, she won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actress. And Hollywood has been knocking at her door. Latest rumours have her attached to the new Star Wars film, Star Wars 7, which starts filming in the summer for a 2015 release. Which I'm very excited for because she's really, really, really good. The film is phenomenal. It's not the best film ever made. Is it the best film of the year?
12 Years a Slave, not Star Wars 7.
Of course.
Just to confirm.
But she's really, really good. A very, very strong actress. And I think that if J.J. Abrams is looking at hiring people like that, it didn't do very well. Liam Neeson and Ewan McGregor are both fine actors, and that didn't help Phantom Menace.
But getting great actors isn't the only... but it certainly helps.
Absolutely. So that's good news. Another name that's been attached to Star Wars 7 is John Boyega, who is the lead from Attack the Block.
I hadn't heard this one.
Yeah. He's not signed, but he's on a short list of names.
He was the lead teen in...
he was indeed. He was Moses in Attack the Block by Joe Cornish. Who
is... Well, amongst many other things, is co-writing Ant-Man with Edgar Wright.
How very interesting. He also co-wrote the script for Tintin, for Peter Jackson and Steven Spielberg. So there's a nice.
It's all.
Yeah, you need to know people in Hollywood. It's who you know, not what you know. It really is, isn't it?
Thankfully, none of these people is having anything to do with Transformers 4. Long may that continue.
And all of them are reasonably well known. I'd like to move on to your.
Are we going to segue on to?
I think we should, if that's all right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we're now going to go live. Well, we're not going to go live, but we're going to check in with HQ live for a famous update.
Yeah.
Oh. Near miss, but still not famous.
No.
Shia LaBeouf is still not famous.
Still not famous anymore.
There was a scare. He was mistaken for Michael Fassbender's penis in a cafe.
But then they measured him and he was far, far too small.
Clearly just Shia LaBeouf, who's no longer famous, so at
no
that point,
after that.
all the camera phones went away
yeah.
and it was fine. So, good on you. Right. What's next? What other news have we got?
Bit of comic book movie news. As Mark pointed out, comic books are sort of the primary blockbuster genre of the decade, I suppose.
Yeah, a lot of calendar real estate.
I like that. Calendar real estate. Yeah.
Thank you. It just came to me. I will not bow to any sponsor. Oh, you can't really make it.
This is a Marvel.
The Marvel mug.
Yeah.
There we are.
So James Mangold, director of, among other things, Kate and Leopold, and The Wolverine.
The best Hugh Jackman film of them all.
It's certainly the best film starring Hugh Jackman and Liev Schreiber.
You're damn right.
And he's signed up for Wolverine
2,
which will start shooting after X-Men 3.
It will be after Apocalypse.
It will be after the Age of Apocalypse.
Oh, interesting.
Well, the Age of Apocalypse is going to start shooting very soon, and then
are they calling it Age of? I thought they were just calling it Apocalypse. It's based on Age of Apocalypse.
It is. I don't know. I think it's too early probably to get a definite.
Thinking they don't want to make this mistake Marvel Studios make of clearly ripping off Transformers: Age of Extinction by
that's very true.
Age of name.
Yeah,
that's literally the week after that teaser video from Comic-Con saying Age of Ultron came out, the developing Transformers sequel suddenly got a title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny about film names. When the Two Towers came out in 2002, a lot of people thought it was insensitive to the survivors and the families of the victims of 9/11.
Yeah.
Or as we call it in Britain, 11/9. And I thought that, even though they had maybe a point, this book was written 50 odd years earlier. Although as a huge fan of Elvis, I did think that Return of the King was a very insensitive title for a film the following year. But we live on.
As a chronic sufferer of piles, I thought the Fellowship of the Ring, to be honest, was sitting there in the cinema on my little cushion, just going, "This is horrible! You're torturing me here."
Yeah. What, the film or the piles?
The film's referencing to
the piles. All the golems.
The film itself is amazing, But yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, sorry about that. That was a bit rough. So, how did we get onto that? Film names of films.
Age of Ultron, Age of Extinction.
Age of Ultron, Age of Extinction.
Age of Apocalypse.
Age of Apocalypse. So yeah, Jim Mangold's doing Wolverine 2.
After Age of Apocalypse.
After Age of Apocalypse, or whatever they call it. So I'm okay with that. The Wolverine, a lot of pros, a lot of cons. Mostly pros, I would say. Although
absolutely.
Cons were talked about in another video to a great extent. Well directed. You got a good performance out of Huge.
Absolutely, yeah. Up until, I agree with your sort of vidcast, the last big movie we did, the last big film. That it was only really the last sort of act that really ruined it. Everything up to leading up, that was very well done.
Yep.
And that's not his fault, that's the script's fault. So.
Yeah.
Good for James Mangold.
I'm happy he's involved. Happy as ever that Huge is involved. Let's do it. What else in superheroes?
Mark Webb.
Ah, yes.
Has announced that he is attached to no more than the third Spider-Man film. He'll not be returning for the fourth film, even though he would like to retain a consultant role. Even though he brought this version of the Spider-Man universe to life.
Do you think he thinks consultant means the same thing as it does for Robert Downey Jr. in the MCU?
I just think he's sick of
I'll make $1 billion.
He's sick of the jokes between his name and the films. He's sick of the web joke.
Yeah. I can't wait for the sort of Amazing Spider-Man 4 to be directed by Timothy Sense. Spider Sense. Yeah.
Or the guy that played Spider on Coronation Street, whose name I forget, but he has done some films. That's not a great joke.
That's going to be lost on our American fans.
My gran is going to be laughing. Although she doesn't really know Spider-Man, so she won't.
No, but she'll be delighted you're talking about Coronation Street, I suppose.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like Doctor Who. Maybe Coronation Street's massive over there. Americans, please tell us.
Yeah, do you have any idea at all what Coronation Street is?
What we're talking about, yeah. Bit of Corrie.
Yeah. Captain America 3.
This is interesting.
Yeah, Captain America 2 has been getting rave buzz from the critics, even though they're not allowed to talk about it in detail.
I love this. There's an embargo on reviews, so they're not allowed to give us a review. So they're all just hitting Twitter, going, "It's magic."
Yeah, yeah.
That's like, we need new laws.
If I was allowed to review the film, I'd say how good it was, but I'm not.
It's like Anthony Hopkins at the end of Thor 2. You know? If I was to say I was proud of the film Kevin Feige and the brothers Russo have made, it would speak only from my heart and not the embargo or something.
So that's obviously leading to a lot of buzz about Captain America 3 and the fact that it is also being released the same weekend as the as yet untitled Batman vs Superman film. The Man of Steel 2, as it's otherwise known, is very, very interesting.
Very interesting.
And it's the same directors who've been kept on for it, the Russo brothers.
Yes, Anthony and Joe Russo. No relation to Rennie. I checked.
So
same screenwriters as well.
I'm expecting Cap 2 to be really good.
It better be now.
Yeah.
If this is another X-Men Origins, and I'm coming out of there not only disappointed in the film, but knowing that the same people are coming back for Cap 3, and it's got to compete with Batman Superman. But that's going to be a great weekend.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I'm going to love that.
That's going to be a double bill to really.
There's rumours that Warner Brothers are exploring options for moving the date, which I hope is not true. I hope if anybody moves, it should be Warner Brothers, because although Marvel hadn't announced the name of the film, they did have the date booked first. And I like to imagine Warner Brothers thought, nah, this is too close to Avengers 2, we'll move it and pick on Doctor Strange or whatever they're putting in that slot. So Feige and co went, you can have Cap. But in any case, Marvel did it. So if anyone's going to move, I think it's only polite that it would be Warner. But I don't think anyone needs to move. Batman Superman's going to make a killing no matter what, even if it's rubbish, because it's Batman and Superman, and thinking like a film executive who's just caring about the money. Buzz, the interest is going to be high enough. It's going to make money regardless. Captain America, it stands maybe to lose a bit if it's in the shadow of Batman Superman, but Marvel's doing so well they can afford to take a bit of a...
See, I think the converse. I think that given the positive buzz around Cap 2 and the Avengers and, all the Marvel films so far, given the critical dubbing that Man of Steel had, I think that Cap 3 is in a stronger position.
I think Cap 3 will be the better film, and will certainly have the better word of mouth amongst your hardcore geeks. But then when you've got... your casual moviegoers who are like, I kind of remember this Captain America guy from the Avengers. I've heard of him.
Okay.
Batman and Superman. When you've got clueless dad who's got his kids for the weekend and is taking them out. Oh, Batman, Superman. Yeah, I want to take them to see that. I think maybe not. But then, in fairness, Man of Steel, I'm not sure I would agree with critical drubbing. It didn't do that well.
All right, the backlash has been significant.
Yeah,
at the time, maybe it was all right,
but yeah,
it's had a lot of internet sort of slamming since release.
Definitely. Well, I'll tell you, if Batman wasn't in the sequel, I would say, even given Superman's status as the daddy of the genre in terms of name recognition, I would agree. Captain America 3 with the Marvel Studios pedigree is going to blow Man of Steel 2 out of the water.
Okay.
But I think the novelty of, it's Batman and Superman. But mind you, this is a post-Avengers world.
Yeah.
And nobody in the Avengers lineup is as big, apart from possibly Hulk, is as big a deal as Batman and Superman are. But the novelty factor of disparate superheroes coming together in one movie, it's been done. The genie's out the bottle.
Iron Man, since Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron
since
Man,
the movie, he's gone right up. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, and Hulk, they're all big enough long before their movies. They were household names. But the rest of them, it's the movies that have catapulted them, I think. Certainly Iron Man, Cap, and Thor.
Speaking of the Avengers, the Avengers 2 has started filming early because of the pregnancy of one of its stars.
Yeah.
Mark Ruffalo has defied medical convention and become the... Oh, no, it wasn't Mark. No, it was Scarlett Johansson. Has become pregnant.
I'd love it if it was Mark Ruffalo.
And I'm going to sit back here and just watch the fireworks.
Yeah. So within 24 hours of Scarlett Johansson's pregnancy being announced, I'm mucking about on the internet as I do, discussing movies or trying to discuss movies with other people on the internet. And a torrent of vile humanity hit my screen. There is what I hope is a very small subset of online comic book movie Marvel fans who are actually angry at Scarlett Johansson for getting pregnant. Some of the comments I read, and the nicer ones said, it's very unprofessional of her, she'll never work in this town again. Those were the nice ones. The nasty ones said things like, I'll perform the abortion myself, which is a vile thing to say.
It's awful, isn't it?
It's all because they thought her being pregnant would screw up Avengers 2. And how dare she?
It is remarkable that those kinds of people are allowed out on day release. They're allowed access to the internet.
We need to license people to internet.
We do.
For the sake of my blood pressure.
Yeah.
People need to realise that one day my wife is going to find me dead in front of the computer from my heart just exploding with rage. And it's because of careless people like this. Just think about what you're doing. Think about what you're going to put her through.
I think
I've made it all about me, sorry.
I think that everybody on the internet, when they if they get a certain amount of thumbs down votes, whatever you want to call it, dislikes, their details should become public. So if you are to put something like this on there, and obviously in a real world situation, there's a lot of trolls out there as well, not just celebrities, and all of these people should be. One of the reasons they're so brave to spout these horrific opinions is because they are anonymous.
Yeah.
And I think their anonymity should be taken away from them.
Yeah.
If they are to say things like how unprofessional to get pregnant.
Yeah.
You bitch.
It's madness. I mean, even if it was going to affect the movie, it's still none of our business.
Absolutely.
It's beyond saying congratulations to a woman I've never met, but I'm very fond of her work. And it's a lovely thing for anyone to start a family. There beginneth and endeth our involvement. And I read that there was an interview with Joss Whedon. He confirmed the script will be unaffected. Mm-hmm. They've had to juggle the schedule around, but that's fine. They can cope with that.
Yeah.
And in terms of Widow's screen time, her scenes, her action sequences, they'll be unaffected.
Absolutely.
So they're going to get the majority of them done early on before Scarlett can't do them, and they can do the rest of the punch-ups with stunt doubles, and, body doubles, and so on and so forth. And then her dialogue scenes she can do well into the pregnancy.
Absolutely.
So it's fine. I did read a hilarious comment, I must admit. Despite my rage at most of the people posting, one of them was superb. If anyone's familiar with the plot developments of the second half of the TV show Angel, when Charisma Carpenter, the actress, became pregnant, and they had to write her pregnancy into the show because her character was one of the major characters in the show. Somebody posted saying, well, that puts to bed the whole Pym Stark thing for who creates Ultron. Black Widow will give birth to him and then spend the rest of the movie in a coma. Which did make me spit my tea in laughter, I must admit. That's quite funny. That's a really niche geek joke there. You need to know about the behind the scenes on season 4 of Angel. If you got that, you're my kind of person. If you didn't, you're still probably my kind of person, and I have a show I think you should watch. But yeah.
So yeah.
Also, while we're on the Marvel Cinematic Universe and Black Widow, Kevin Feige.
Kev, you disappoint us.
Kevy.
You're going to join that unfamous man and Michael Bay in our list of naughty people to keep making fun of if you're not careful.
Yeah.
Tell him what he said, Malc.
Am I taking this? Okay.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
You know better than I do.
Kevin Feige was being asked about the possibility of a Black Widow movie. And I think this is just, in fairness, I think it's just a fumbling of words, or he didn't quite get his point across the way he did. It's not a big deal. I've already made it a bigger deal than it needs to be, but it is kind of funny. Unless he meant it the way it sounded, in which case he's a bad man. What he said was, they said, "Will Black Widow get her own movie?" And he said, "Well, we've talked about it. We've we've thought about things." But then Black Widow's a really big part of the Avengers. She's a really big part of Captain America 2, and she's going to be a really big part of Avengers 2. So we're getting a lot of Black Widow heavy stuff. If we were to do a female superhero movie, the slant of the interview was diversity in superhero movies, and Marvel kind of setting an example if they can. And he said if we were to do a female-led superhero movie, we'd probably go with a new character, somebody who hasn't had a movie yet. And he said, because if we use Black Widow, we wouldn't get the quote-unquote credit for it. Now, I can only hope what he meant was it's not as much of a service to diversity to make the first female-led superhero star a female who's already backed up the boys 4 times. And give it to somebody who's starting out on her own. And, I assume that's what he meant. But it sounded like he's saying, well, we want to get the feminists in the door, so we can't use Widow because she's too much of a boy's girl. So Kevin Feige, big misogynist.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's not really.
Nah.
No.
It's funny though.
Yeah, it's funny though. All the actresses speak quite highly of him. So, I think he's
last piece of current events. I say current events.
We're
if it hadn't been for my illness.
and stuff I do too.
And you
I sat around
Git.
for a month making fun of his illness.
Yeah.
So we were both occupied.
The Guardians of the Galaxy trailer hit the internet and suddenly became everyone's favourite underdog. Still, the mainstream media perhaps don't know who they are, but the geeks are loving what James Gunn has done. And so am I. I don't know how this works in terms of linkage on the videos, but we'll try and include a link to the video or something. Go and watch it. It's really, really good. It's got the potential to be,
Obscene gesture, I won't do it.
Yeah. It seems to be this year's sort of, under the radar smash hit in waiting. And I hope it's good. I really hope it's good because the trailer is so amusing. Yeah. It's got just the right level of humour with action, with the other stuff. It looks great. I wasn't particularly pleased when I heard Dave Bautista was going to be in it because the last thing I saw him in was The Man with the Iron Fist, which was dreadful. And then
wrestlers turned actors. There's a lot more Roddy Pipers than there are The Rocks.
Yeah,
let's be honest.
I mean, let's face it. When your best film is Suburban Commando, Yeah. So that's going to be awesome. So we're definitely going to review that when it comes out.
Definitely.
I think we're also going to review Cap, aren't we? I think our next video should be Cap.
Probably, yeah.
Cap's out in a couple of weeks, isn't
Cap's out in a couple of weeks, and then Spider-Man's a couple of weeks after that.
Uh-huh. So Cap and Spider-Man, and we'll see if we can get some non-superhero films in there. But
if people would release one, that would be nice.
If there's any films that you'd like to see us talk about, please do put a comment on there. Left to our own devices, we're going to choose Star Wars and Marvel. So do
very occasionally Middle Earth.
Do throw in there, throw in some.
Yeah, any genre, any.
Speaking of Star Wars, Marvel, and Middle Earth. All 3 of which appear quite heavily in our movie review, this vidcast. Yeah,
this week, this time period review.
Yeah,
that's the best segue.
That is the best unintentional segue. So toy movies have by and large been rather hit and miss, from fictional toys like Small Soldiers to real toys like Battleship and Transformers. There are good and bad and indifferent, but the king of toy movies has recently been crowned, both commercially and critically, in the form of Warner Brothers' The Lego Movie. What a film.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant. It should have been.
It should have been dreadful.
Yeah.
It shouldn't have worked, and yet on almost every level it does.
It's so very deeply good.
So just to very quickly recap the plot, ordinary, normal Lego minifig Emmett, what's his name, Brakowski? Emmett Brakowski.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Is living his normal life, trying to live as he thinks he should live, when he meets the rebellious Wildstyle, who is a master builder. She leads him to other master builders, and they find that there is a plot by Lord Business, voiced by Will Ferrell, to end the world. Mm-hmm. And through a series of amusing shenanigans, they have to foil him and save the Lego world as they know it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of basically the plot.
Yeah.
It's a quest against evil, or not evil, against bureaucracy and small-minded adultness.
Yeah, unintentional evil.
Yeah, lawful evil if you're a D&D player. I'm revealing just how geeky that I was in my previous life as a child.
Your previous life?
Yeah.
I was reincarnated as a grown-up version of my former self.
That's how it feels sometimes.
Okay.
It's a remarkable movie. I think one of the things... sorry.
No.
One of the things that I really like about it the most is that it has a real zany sense of fun. It does not take itself too seriously, despite dealing with some quite relatable themes for adults. And I love that about it. I love the fact that the directors who came off of Cloud with the Chance of Meatballs, have you seen that yet?
I still haven't seen that
yet. It's good. It's a good film.
I'm going to watch it now, off the back of it.
Yeah. And they keep this sort of really high-paced, zany sense of fun going through it. It's like an old Looney Tunes cartoon. And yet they never lose track of what's important, of what it means. And it's very rare to see that. Often you get films that are either over-the-top fun, too much going on, or too serious and take themselves too seriously. But this managed, I think, to get both things just right.
I agree.
The voice cast is superb. Morgan Freeman's animation debut, he's really good. He's very funny, he's very good, as you'd expect him to be. It's Morgan Freeman. Chris Emmett, who is the lead character in the guy... Chris Emmett, that's his character name, Emmett. Chris Pratt, who is the voice of Emmett, who is the lead actor in the Guardians of the Galaxy, he handles himself very well. He's in a sitcom called Parks and Recreation in America, which is kind of like a big... It's not huge, but it's got a very loyal fan base.
It's got a strong following.
Patton Oswalt in that as well? I think he's been in it.
I don't know if he's a star. Is that where his
famous Star Wars Marvel
thing?
mashup comes from a scene in that? Yeah,
and Clash of the Titans, he managed to.
Oh yes, of course.
He managed to cram into that as well.
And so he's very good. He's very, very good as the lead character. He's got a good comic timing. You know, he's excellent. Elizabeth Banks as Wildstyle is great.
Yeah, she did well.
Will Arnett as Batman. Batman is
best
of course,
Batman. Who knew?
He's kind of like the biggest licensed character, isn't he? He's the biggest non-original character for the film.
He's the only licensed one that gets more than a couple of scenes.
Yeah,
Superman has a recurring kind of gag, but Batman's one of the ensemble.
This is a theory that I have with DC and Warner Brothers at the moment. Obviously, because Marvel are doing so well with their films, DC aren't quite so much. Warner Brothers, who own DC, their sort of mission statement tends to be, well, WB doesn't stand for Warner Brothers. It stands for Where's Batman? That's who they are now. It's Where's Batman? They look at a film script. Where's Batman? It's 12 Years a Slave. Where's Batman? Why isn't he saving these slaves? Looking at Gravity. Where's Batman? Why isn't he rescuing those people from outer space? And so they've even managed to shoehorn Batman into a major role in this film because he is the only, surefire, bankable character from their DC stable.
It's a shame. Superman really should be.
He should be, shouldn't he? Yeah. But people like angst these days. Since the millennium, since nothing happened in Y2K, people are just like, what's going on?
Since nothing happened again in 2012.
Yes. We're just passing apocalypse and getting more and more miserable, and angst is what we need now.
When X-Men Apocalypse comes out and we don't all die, that'll be the third one. Yeah. That's a trilogy of apocalypses.
So Will Arnett very good as Batman.
Everyone's really good. Liam Neeson.
Oh, Liam Neeson's great.
I loved Liam Neeson in this.
I didn't think I'd like him from the trailer. But
I thought it was just going to be Brian Mills. I thought,
Who's Brian Mills?
Taken.
Okay.
His Taken character. Right. I thought, because in the trailer you see Bad Cop, and you think, right, Liam Neeson's just playing this badass police guy who's going to hound them. and I thought he's just going to bring his action hero Liam Neeson, which serves him well in that kind of direct-to-DVD actiony nonsense that inexplicably doesn't go direct-to-DVD.
Yeah.
But I thought, he's not going to be one of my favourite things in the movie. I went in expecting to like Batman and expected to put up with Liam Neeson. But he's really good.
He's really funny. Really
good. Both personalities. Without spoiling it, the hook is he's the good cop and the bad cop. And he just...
Well, it can't be spoiling it because it's in the trailer.
Yeah.
I think if they're going to spoil it, then
we're allowed to.
We're exempt, yeah. My favourite bit of his character is the running gag with the chair. He... In his frustrations, he boots a chair. He kicks a chair over.
Even when he's somewhere where there would not be a chair.
Yeah, they bring a chair out.
It.
It's phenomenal. It just gets
so
funnier
funny.
the more it happens. I love the animation style. It's actually mostly CGI. It looks like it's stop motion. And I actually was under the impression that it was the guys that made Pirates and an Adventure with Scientists, or Pirates Band of Misfits if you're in America. And it's not them. It's not the Aardman fellas. It's not the Wallace and Gromit fellas. And I thought it was originally. But no, it's not. It's CGI. It's just made to look like it's stop motion. And I love that. I love the attention to detail that has gone into the movement of the bricks. That has gone into the fact the explosions are made up of see-through orange bricks, not fire. The smoke is made of black and grey bricks. The water's made of blue bricks. It's all made of Lego.
The water, the ocean sequence
is phenomenal, isn't it?
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's a Lego movie. You're thinking this is going to be a kids' animation thing. It's going to be, I'm going to enjoy this in the same way that I enjoy How to Train Your Dragon.
Yeah.
And I do, because How to Train Your Dragon's awesome.
Yeah.
But I'm also sitting there just, I haven't been this visually marvelling at something since Avatar.
I know, yeah. That's it, isn't it? Yeah.
It's so visually inventive.
Yeah.
Despite it being so, on the face of it, silly.
Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs shows that they are good with detail. Because a lot of the stuff in that is also very good. Like the scale, when the food starts getting really big, the scale between the food and the people is something that it seems like it's live action with the textures and the movements of the things, and it's not. It's animation. So their attention to detail is a proven skill on their part, and that just carries over when you're a fan of Lego and you see the Lego bits and bobs. The fact that laser blaster, the lightsaber blades, it's. Everything's a Lego bit.
The spaceman, the 80s spaceman.
Oh, Benny.
His helmet is broken in exactly the same place where every Lego space helmet always broke.
Yeah.
I loved Lego. This is essentially 2 hours of product placement.
Yeah.
It's like, on the face of it, it's the most shallow, cynical marketing ploy ever, but it's done with such heart.
Such a
plum. You love it. And they're highlighting one of the sort of the recurring flaws in their product. And they're doing it with a loving, knowing, wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
I think that little break in Benny's helmet has probably caused more adults to go out and buy a Lego set than any other advert that Lego could possibly put out.
Definitely.
Nostalgia.
Definitely.
Thy name is Benny.
The kids are like, giant robot pirate and Batman. And we're like, look, that's just like all my Lego spacemen.
Classic spaceman.
Oh, yeah.
But he also has teeth marks in his helmet. If you watch the film again, he has teeth marks in there, which is amazing. Again, the level of detail is phenomenal. The story is very good. It's a little bit formulaic, which you'd expect, but you don't really... Well, I say you don't. We didn't really care, because we're enjoying the visuals so much, enjoying the set pieces, enjoying the pratfalls. The fact that it is a little bit formulaic is absolutely fine. And there's a bit in there towards the end that kind of cements the themes and issues, where it's a bit when Emmett goes through the magic portal, and then there's a new sequence which stands out. You'll know it when you see it.
Yeah, you'll definitely know it when you see it.
And I don't know if that was maybe trying a bit too hard to be, sincere or whatever. It was certainly not badly acted or badly written. No. It was, I don't know if I liked it because of the change in pace or if I thought it was too much.
I really liked it.
Okay.
But only when I'd thought about it afterwards. It's one of these things, a weird thing, and I think when you do what we do, when you analyse and you pick and you watch these movies and then we make these videos and we shout about them, I think it's a trap we fall into. I enjoyed that sequence, and something about it bothered me until I was in the car going home, and I realised what bothered me about it was just that I felt like I shouldn't. I felt like it was my duty to have a problem with that bit,
Yeah.
Because it was my duty to have a problem with the film somewhere.
It's circumnavigating your cynical sense.
This bit. But I agree. I think it's the potential to be sort of jarring, but it certainly doesn't do much harm. If it does harm, it's minimal.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
doesn't derail the movie at all.
No. And everyone involved in those sequences, I think, played it well and shot it well, and it was well put together.
Yeah, I want to talk more about it, but I can't because it'll be spoilers.
Spoilerific. In 2 or 3 years, we'll
revisit it.
We'll do a double bill podcast with Battleship. Liam Neeson toy movies,
or the Duplo movie.
The Duplo movie, the
inevitable prequel,
the Kinects movie.
Playmobil could do a movie.
Playmobil could do.
I mean, their figures aren't as aren't as articulated as the Lego minifigures, but there's some pretty cool Playmobil out there.
Yeah,
mixing worlds, pirates and spacemen and stuff.
Mega Bloks could do a movie where they get 2/3 of the way through it and then get sued by Lego. And get shut down.
That would be great. Just a courtroom drama.
Like 12 angry minifigs.
Yeah, 12 angry minifigs, and I like it. So the Lego movie. Loved it. Yeah. Also, ironically, you haven't mentioned the soundtrack yet.
Oh, how good is the soundtrack?
Catchiest song ever. If you haven't heard it, it's in the trailer. It's on YouTube, available to go and see. So go and type in "Everything is Awesome," and you will just put it on your iPod and
it's so funny, and
this is my jam.
It's also it's worth getting the soundtrack. I think if you're a fan of regular viewers and listeners will know, I'm a big fan of the orchestral music in movies, and the score for this movie is pretty good. Mm-hmm. It's not as bombastic as something you get in a superhero movie or the likes of your Star Warses or your Lord of the Rings or so. And it's not
your epic Ridley Scott sort of historicals.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. Yeah. It's not it's not sort of big and bold like that, but then, it's the action beats are quite exciting. The sentimental stuff's quite moving. So it's a decent score, but also included on the soundtrack are no less than 4 different equally awesome versions of Everything is Awesome.
Wicked.
The one you hear repeatedly in the film, and 3 superb backup versions. So if you're into your soundtracks at all, get the soundtrack.
Magic.
Even if you're not, listen to my colleague, listen to the song.
It's great.
You'll love the song. If you like sounds, you will enjoy the song.
It's the earworm of the
very
month,
much so.
I think.
I think not since the early 90s has pop been so infectiously, viciously.
Not since Do the Bartman have I wanted to sing along so much to a tie-in song,
and yet felt like you shouldn't when you're with your mates. It's like, damn this cynical world we live in.
Okay, so that's the Lego movie. Anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think we covered it.
So we're not doing these as in depth as we do our podcast. So that's a fairly good snapshot of the movie.
We think there's only so long you can look at our faces for. Our voices are nice. We're handsome men. I'm only joking.
So recently, our local flea pit put on a triple bill of 80s sci-fi action films: The Terminator, Aliens, and Predator. 3 phenomenally successful cultural iconic films, 2 of which star Arnie, 2 of which star Aliens, and 1 of which stars, 2 of which star robots. I think you can count Bishop and the Power Loader as robots.
2 of which are Jim Cameron slices of goodness.
Yep.
The bravest pioneer back before he was all up himself.
2 of which star Jungles. Albeit the urban jungle in Terminator
of 1984 Los Angeles.
Yep.
Yes, nicely done.
Both of which, all 3 of which involve terrible hair. Sarah Connor's hair in Terminator. Gorman's hair in Aliens.
Burke, surely.
Oh, Burke's got a nice little perm.
Gorman's just got a buzz cut.
Exactly, it's his terrible haircut. And the Predator in Predator, his terrible dreads. But they are 3 phenomenally good films, and we're not going to jump into reviews of them right now. Suffice to say that if you haven't seen them and you're not squeamish about gore, then they are 3 films that you shouldn't be without seeing. Definitely. I would even go as far as to say that you should see Aliens before you see things like Casino or Goodfellas. Maybe not The Godfather. If you haven't seen The Godfather.
I would go that far.
All right.
See Aliens before you see The Godfather. Okay. Your brother's going to punch me in the face.
He is, isn't he?
But Yeah, Aliens is better than The Godfather. I'm putting it out there.
Yeah, Predator's good. Terminator's better. Aliens is almost a faultless film. As far as sci-fi action goes, as far as film goes, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's just extremely well made. All the actors are good. Lord Paxton, in probably the performance of his career.
Absolutely. Lead in Ellen Ripley takes a very strong female character and turns her into a sci-fi icon. I think a lot of sci-fi could and should learn from Aliens.
I tell you what you should do if you have seen the movie but you haven't been following Malc Benjy for the last couple of years. Listen to our Alien podcast. It's about 2.5 hours. It's all 4 movies. Or all 3 movies and that other thing they did. It's very in-depth, it's very nerdy, very passionate. We got really excited at points of that.
Yeah.
But
if you want to hear us say bad things about films as well, listen to that podcast, because very often we pick films that we like. But if you want to hear us say bad things, then...
There's 2.5 movies that we love in that podcast, and there's a movie and a half that we feel differently about. You get to see the whole spectrum of Malc Benjy emotion.
But that triple bill, that sort of troika of films that had no narrative connection and no real thematic connection apart from the genre, got me thinking about triple bills in general. What would be, in different genres, the best triple bills? We're discounting trilogy, so anything where there's an actual link or connection in terms of the franchise is being discounted. So we're not doing Lord of the Rings, we're not doing Mad Max.
So as much as tempted as you are, you can't say your favourite superhero trilogy is X-Men Origins Wolverine, Daredevil and Elektra, because Daredevil and Elektra are...
Well, there are many, many other reasons why they wouldn't be your pick. But...
that was my joke.
Okay, good. I know your feelings on those films.
Yeah. We're discounting.
So, I want to start with westerns, because I think western is a much maligned genre these days. There's a lot of westerns. In fact, I go as far as to say that I'm a budding westernophile. The more westerns I see, the more I like them, the more I sort of get into the genre and the conventions and the tropes of the genre. So what would your triple bill of the best westerns be?
Unforgiven and 2 others.
Unforgiven is... Yeah, there is no way we're leaving out Unforgiven.
Unforgiven's glorious.
There's a remake of Unforgiven that's just been released with Ken Watanabe set in feudal Japan.
Oh, suddenly I'm retracting this motion. I thought they just remade it. I was so angry.
It's not been released in our local cinema yet, but as soon as it's out on DVD...
I hadn't heard any of this.
Yeah. Apparently it's not as good as Unforgiven, obviously, but it is very good. But Ken Watanabe is my favourite living Japanese actor.
Yeah, if you're gonna remake Unforgiven, then feudal Japan is the way to do it. Don't do another sort of American West one. And if you're making a movie set in any kind of way, shape or form with Japan, to be honest, if you're making a movie set somewhere where humans are, you could do worse and get Ken Watanabe in.
Absolutely. Speaking of feudal Japan being the setting for Western remakes, I'm going to go for A Fistful of Dollars as one of my 3.
Okay.
Arguably, The Good, the Bad and the Ugly is a better film. It's the 3rd in the trilogy. Not that it's necessarily a trilogy. It could be both.
Yeah. Well, we should have discounted that.
We should have. Yeah. But A Fistful of Dollars, being the first one, for me, has some of the most iconic moments. There's the bit when he's walking past The Undertaker and he says 3 coffins. Then they have the shootout and he comes back, it's my mistake, 4 coffins. That's badass.
That's
the bit when in that same fight when he talks about the mule, I know you fellas were just joking, but my mule, you see, he just doesn't get it. Now, if you apologise, like I know you're going to, I might convince him you don't really mean it. That's bizarre, it's absurd, and yet it's so badass the way he does it. The final gunfight, which is lampooned in Back to the Future 3, it's great. It's a really, really good movie. And like I say, while The Good, the Bad and the Ugly has its fair share of iconic moments, Eli Wallach is one of the best, his Tuco is one of the best characters in Westerns. I still think A Fistful of Dollars has a freshness to it, which would put it on my list. So Unforgiven, Fistful of Dollars. Would you agree with that, or would you pick a different...
I completely agree with that.
Okay.
Star Wars?
I think if you're going to go space western, you've got to go Serenity.
Serenity, yeah.
But I wouldn't go Serenity.
No, we'll not go space western.
There's a few films that I want to put in there at the 3rd. Back to the Future 3 is one, just for nostalgia's sake. It's not the best western, but it's the best sci-fi comedy western.
It's one of the best films to have a western setting.
Yeah, there isn't a western.
But it's not a western as such. Yeah.
Open Range. Kevin Costner's Open Range. It's really, really good, but it stands on the shoulders of its final sequence.
Very much.
The rest of the film is very, very, very good, but it's the final sequence that you really, really sticks with you afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's maybe why I wouldn't maybe put Open Range in there. The Magnificent Seven is another really, really, really good western.
Remake of Japanese.
The Seven Samurai, yeah. Akira Kurosawa's Seven Samurai. Which is one of those films where you can watch it and not feel like a complete movie snob, because it's not only a foreign language film in black and white, it's also really, really good. Lots of very good sword fights in there, and bow and arrow combat and fighting in the rain. It's great. Fistful of Dollars, by the way, was a remake of Yojimbo, which is Japanese for bodyguard, and that's also Toshiro Mifune starring in Akira Kurosawa, and that's also a really, really good film that you don't have to be a stuck-up film buff to enjoy. It's a great action film. Okay, so third western. Seraphim Falls with Pierce Brosnan and Liam Neeson.
I have not seen it.
It's really good. I don't think it deserves to be on the list because it's not,
James Bond and Qui-Gon.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Schindler and the other fella that...
Schindler and Mr. Price from The World's End.
Yeah.
Is it Mr. Price?
Yes.
That reference would have worked better if I could remember the character's name. I brought a knife to a gunfight there.
Yeah. So.
Tremors.
No.
Oh. Okay.
There's one out there. There is one out there. There is a third western film, The Wild Bunch.
Oh! Young Guns!
Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Go with yours!
Young Guns. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. There we are. There is our third western in our triple bill. That is iconic, classic, one of the best scripts of any western ever. Robert Redford and Paul Newman, just brilliant chemistry between them. There we go. There's our western triple bill. Okay.
That was a lot more painless than I thought.
Yeah. You pick a genre.
Action movies.
Just generic.
It's too broad.
Any era, just set on Earth, no fancy, no sci-fi.
One-man army type.
One-man army type. Okay, well,
or not one-man army, but yeah, one man.
On the count of three, let's pick our first one. Right. 1, 2, 3. Die Hard. Okay.
Right.
I want to go for Commando, but it's just too silly.
I would go for Predator, but you can't.
It's sci-fi.
Yeah, it's sci-fi. And it's not
element.
One man. There's a whole.
Yeah.
It's just the last half hour. Definitely now. I'm gonna bring up Rambo.
Okay.
But I'm gonna go slightly controversial.
Okay.
For the record, First Blood is the best of the 4 Rambo films.
Of course.
First Blood Part 2 is the best example of the one-man army type of subgenre.
Okay. All right.
First Blood Part 2 is like Die Hard in the Jungle.
Okay.
Or like Commando.
Because First Blood is not an action film.
No, it's an
action drama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First Blood Part 2 and Rambo 3 are just action porn. And they're really good at it.
Yeah.
And then Rambo, the 4th one, is kind of in between. It kind of has a point, not as much of a point as First Blood.
No, but...
and it's kind of... It's hard to enjoy because it takes a horrible real world situation and makes you think about it, so it's thought provoking, which I would not expect for the 4th installment of this franchise. But
it's a bit like when Ricky Gervais went to Africa for comic relief and started making fun of starving babies. You're like, well, it's funny, but it's also starving babies. I don't want to laugh at that.
Yeah, it's I get the point you're making. But but the violence in it is really good.
But First Blood Part 2.
First Blood Part 2,
I think we can stick with that.
That's like the awesome 80s action movie out of those 4.
Yeah. So Die Hard, First Blood Part 2.
Last Action Hero?
No, it's fantasy.
Yeah. True Lies, that's a bit more like a spy. It's got a lot of Arnie taking guys out.
Yeah.
It's not as silly as Commando.
No.
Well, maybe elements
right,
of it.
we've got a Stallone, we've got a Willis. Let's go for an Arnie film. Let's make sure that we're happy with it. He's done a lot of sci-fi, so we have to discount the sci-fi. And we have to discount Conan as well, because even though it's,
Again, it's got action in it, but it's fantasy.
Yeah,
I agree. So, can't have T2.
Red Heat. where he plays the KGB agent. Nah. Okay. Raw Deal.
Raw Deal. It's nice and violent.
It's not good, though, is it?
Yeah, it's not. To be honest, I think I might have to revisit Commando.
Kindergarten Cop.
Oh, that's comedy.
That's comedy, all right.
That's
Okay.
comedy.
All right. Let's go with Commando then.
Let's
Sorry,
go with
it's a
Commando.
terrible film, but it's amazing action.
It's as far as guilty pleasures go, it's right up there.
Yeah,
You know, it's,
all right.
it's the action's without peer.
Brilliant.
The one-liners are dumb, but
Don't
catchy.
disturb my friend. He's dead
dead.
tired. Oh, okay.
Sully, when I said I would kill you last. Yeah, you did, Matrix. Yeah, you did. I lied.
So, okay, Commando, First Blood Part 2, and Die Hard.
Yeah.
Good.
Good. Okay, next genre.
Space opera.
Space opera. Star
Yeah.
Wars.
Star Wars. Absolutely.
Chronicles of Riddick.
Okay. Wrath of Khan.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm saying Wrath, not Wrath, because we're in Britain.
Titans will rock.
I don't mind Americans saying Wrath because you have your own variation on our language, but I don't like it when British people say Wrath because it's just an Americanism. It's Wrath, okay? I know it's spelt wrong. That's the thing about British language, okay? It's spelt wrong, but it's
say
Wrath.
Wrath all
You
the
shouldn't
time.
say Wrath. It's Wrath.
What really upsets him is when I pronounce Wrath of Khan into darkness.
Okay, so Star Wars, as in Episode 4 A New Hope, but before it was Episode 4 A New Hope, Star Wars.
Or Empire Strikes Back.
No. It's too good a quality of story to be a space opera, I think. I think space opera, I think, denotes a sense of adventure, and the drama and the story and the father-son thing and Luke's journey is too.
That kind of sort of daring do adventure aspect. Okay,
it's too much of an epic. It's a sci-fi epic rather than a space opera. Whereas Star Wars is a space opera.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So Star Wars, Wrath of Khan.
Wrath of Khan. Right, you wrote, yeah. Star Trek 2.
So another space opera. So
Flash.
there it is.
Of the universe.
There it is. Flash Gordon. There are many, many, many superior sci-fi movies out there set in space. 2001: A Space Odyssey, Silent Running,
Star Trek 6.
Gravity, Moon, Star Trek 6. Well, you can't do Star Trek 6, you've got Star Trek 2.
Oh yeah, we couldn't include it on the list for the. This is a different movie.
Yeah.
But you're right.
But Flash Gordon, I think, has the most fun.
Well, all the things I think that we discounted Empire Strikes Back for.
Yes.
All the boxes Empire Strikes Back doesn't tick. Flash Gordon absolutely does.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's why George Lucas hated Empire Strikes Back so much, isn't it? It's the anti-Flash
It's the
Gordon.
anti-Flash.
So yeah, Flash Gordon, absolutely. So there we go. There's our space opera triple bill right there.
I thought that one would take us ages.
Flash Gordon is a film which I have never flicked onto and then flicked off again. Do you know that? Every time I flick onto I own the DVD. Every time I flick onto it on TV, I think, you know what? I'm going to watch Flash Gordon.
Yeah.
And I'll watch it through to the end. So there we go. Okay,
done.
yeah. Good. So your turn.
Well, we'll get it out of the way.
Have this as the last one, do you think, or do you want to keep going?
We'll see how we get on with this
Okay.
one, see. But I think we'll get this one out of the way now. Superheroes. I was bound to say it at some point.
So are we discounting vigilantes, or are we including non-powered vigilantes?
We're including Batman's allowed.
Okay, so
to
Batman's
answer
allowed,
your
therefore Iron Man's allowed, therefore Punisher's allowed, therefore
Yeah.
all of your
So-
non-powered
so-
superheroes.
Basically, superheroes that fit the normal definition, plus anyone that
Is in the same
comes out of a Marvel or DC or Image or
the same milieu, so to speak.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and again, now
And-
we can only have one out of the MCU
Oh right, okay.
because it's all connected. It's only
Are we
four.
allowed multiple Batmans if they're from different continuities?
In principle, yes, but I'm going to say no to keep it interesting.
All right, okay.
I think because I think I could sense.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to go with, if I may begin,
You may begin.
Michael
Everyone knows
Keaton
what I'm going to say.
as Batman.
Okay.
And I think Michael Keaton as Batman, because although Christian Bale is very, very good, I just really like Michael Keaton's Batman.
Okay. Which movie?
The first one.
First one?
1989 Batman.
Yeah.
I'd go with that. And again, I think Batman Begins is a better film,
Damn right it is.
but I really like Batman. I like Jack Nicholson's
Batman's
Joker.
great. Do you know my least favourite thing about the Nolan movies is the fact that because they're so wildly successful, and deservedly so, there's three very good films.
Absolutely. Even Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah. I prefer Dark Knight Rises to Dark Knight, Joker aside. Yeah, I said it, Internet. Come and get me.
No.
Come and get me. Come on.
Flame on.
Flame on. Oh, don't get me started on him.
All right, okay.
Oh, sorry, yeah. My least favourite thing is that because they're so awesome, everyone goes, oh, these are the best Batman movies ever. Which is a fair enough viewpoint, but it's said too callously and too quickly and too dismissively of the Tim Burton ones. It's like people remember Batman and Robin and just think it was the fourth of four movies like that.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. The Tim Burton ones are both really good.
Yeah.
Even Batman Returns, which is weird.
Yeah.
That is a weird film.
It's a very odd
It's
film.
a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoy it.
Yeah. I would have really liked to have seen Tim Burton's Batman 3.
They could still do it.
With Jeff Goldblum as the Scarecrow.
They could still do it.
They couldn't.
They could.
No, they couldn't.
can do it now.
The landscape of cinema has changed.
No, but there's enough appetite.
No. If Tim Burton does a third Batman film, which we've talked about, bring Michael Keaton back and do the Dark Knight Returns. That's what Tim Burton needs to do. Forget his Disney rubbish. Forget your Willy Wonkas and your Alice's in Wonderland.
We need to get the real Tim Burton back from the aliens.
We do, don't we?
And then we can...
the Mars Attacks aliens, we took them away.
Oh, that was it. That's when it happened.
That's when it happened.
That's when it happened.
Half of that film is brilliant. Half of it's rubbish. It's because he got taken away halfway through
production.
Yeah.
He was getting too close to the truth.
Yeah. Okay, so...
Right, okay.
We agree to Batman?
Yeah, okay.
All right.
I would have gone for Batman Begins, but...
Well, I'm not...
In the spirit of... Yeah.
Okay.
I do like an underdog, so
right.
we'll go for that. And for the record, definitively, and you know this is true because we both agree on it, Michael Keaton's the best live-action screen Batman. Sorry, Christian Bale. You're not a bad actor. You just turned into one during the second movie. He's fine in Batman Begins. Everyone picks on all three of them, but the voice is spot on in Batman Begins. It's perfect. Just gets silly in the second. Anyway, so yeah. Tim Burton's Batman, 1989, yep. Also, definitely the best Batman soundtrack.
Oh, yeah.
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 Well, maybe tied with Batman Returns.
Danny Elfman and Prince, how can you not go wrong when you combine those two things?
It's amazing. I do like a lot of the Elfman stuff in Batman Returns as well. The Penguins theme. Mm-hmm. Particularly at the end, the sad version of Penguins theme is powerful.
Danny DeVito's amazing. He's such a good actor.
Really good.
Can we put Danny DeVito in more things, please?
Yeah.
Anyway, so
okay, Batman. Okay, let's keep this interesting. That's our DC.
Okay,
we'll have a Marvel.
Just the one Marvel.
Just the one Marvel.
So not just MCU across the whole of Marvel.
Which will be a short conversation, I think. But we'll see. We'll see.
I want to throw some... I think I know what you're going to say, but I want to throw something in there just to make it a bit controversial.
Okay.
And then one non-DC and non-Marvel.
Non-DC, non-Marvel.
Okay.
And I think I know what we're both going to settle on there. But again, there's a few that could come up.
All right.
Will we get the Marvel one out of the way first?
Blade Trinity.
Tim Story's Fantastic Four Rising. Why is this even... This is a movie in which Captain America gets all the powers of the Fantastic Four.
That's funnier than my Blade Trinity. Well done. Yeah. Bravo, friend. Bravo.
Thank you. Avengers Assemble, surely. Oh, I called it the wrong name. I called it the British name.
No, that's not what I was going to say. I was going to go with X2. X-Men United, as it's often called on DVD covers.
I think was it X2 X-Men United in America?
No, they're all just marketing titles. I think the official name
in the movie it just says X2.
I think it's just X2.
Credits. It doesn't say anything else. Yeah.
So the Avengers.
Oh, the Avengers are X-Men 2.
Ooh, let's go with the Avengers. It's more fun.
And that's about the only. It's more fun. It wins in categories like, better visual effects, more, bigger set pieces, but then it's got an advantage of 12 years of advances in cinema, so that's...
X-Men 2 is possibly the closest second place since, I don't know, two really close
taking
things.
Out the fun...
Sports,
taking out two things, I think, that clinch it for Avengers. One is the fun, which X-Men 2 is a lot of fun, but Avengers is more
fun.
One
is the fun, two is the Hulk. X-Men 2 doesn't have a Hulk.
Yeah, X-Men. We have a Hugh Jackman. We have a Hulk.
You X-Men.
And the other thing actually is around those things is the balance. Although Downey gets most of the screen time, and although Hulk was the most talked about when you were coming out of the cinema, it is fairly balanced.
It is an ensemble film, whereas X2 is a Wolverine film.
It's only Hawkeye, really, that gets shortchanged in Avengers, whereas
it's Wolverine
Colossus,
interspersed with Professor X. And,
Cyclops does bugger all in X-Men 2. Which
Storm doesn't really. That's Halle Berry. That's Oscar winner Halle Berry.
Yeah.
So okay, I'll
it doesn't make X-Men 2 bad, because X-Men 2 is awesome.
It is.
Hugh Jackman's Wolverine is the best thing in those movies.
So. Oh, no, it's not. Nightcrawler in the opening sequence is the best thing in those films.
Awesome. Yeah, that's awesome.
I'll go with the Avengers.
It's clinching it rather than winning it, but we'll go with the Avengers.
So Tim Burton's Batman, the Avengers, or Marvel's The Avengers, or
Marvel's Avengers Assemble, or whatever you...
Yeah. So, our non-Marvel, non-DC comic book superhero movie. The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. By Stephen Norrington. No, it's not. It's a terrible film.
I know.
Okay, all right. I don't know how long it is since you've seen it. Because you're younger than I am. Maybe you were young when you saw it, you liked it. Never has the gulf between the quality of the source material and the quality of the film been quite so high, with the possible exception of Van Helsing, which isn't really... It doesn't really have a source material.
Does Van Helsing have a clearly defined source material?
That's why LXG is worse. Plus the fact that it's called LXG when Extraordinary begins with an E. L-E-G.
It should be called Leg.
That's how it's spelt. The comics are amazing. They're still coming out now. The latest one was a Captain Nemo in Berlin, and it's Nemo's daughter, and she's a badass pirate, and there's loads of... It's brilliant. It's a phenomenal series. Mm-hmm. You've only read the first 2 volumes, haven't you?
The first 2 volumes,
I need to give you more of the comics.
You do.
They are very, very good, and the film's terrible, so that was a joke.
There's 2 or 3...
Okay, let's go with the one that we're obviously going to do. 1, 2, 3, Hellboy 2. Okay.
I was going to go for that franchise.
Okay.
So neither of those films suck in any way.
No. I'd go for 2 because although it veers more from the source material, it's perfectly okayed by Mike Mignola, who's a big fan of the films, even though they're very different from the comics.
I like that they're different from the comics.
I do because they did good.
Yeah.
The differences don't make it bad,
exactly.
like in other things.
I'm going to agree with you. Hellboy 2, I think, similar to the Avengers argument, Hellboy 2 is more fun than the first one.
We can't have V for Vendetta, can we? Because it's technically DC, even though it's not DC Universe.
It's worth an honourable mention. Is it a superhero movie? Because he's a costume vigilante,
but he has powers.
He's
because of the experimentation on him, he has powers. So more so than your Batmans and your Iron Mans, Batman.
No, Batman's and Iron Man's because it's his name, although it contains
Well, it could be referring to Joseph Gordon-Levitt or Rhodey, so it could be.
But they would still they would still be Iron Man's and Batman's. I know it's weird, but it's because it's his name. If it was a description, if you were to say Insane Man, and then Joseph Gordon-Levitt starts doing it as well, then it's Insane Men.
Okay.
But because Batman is the character's name.
I think there is a loophole to be had there.
Probably.
I'm going to research it for next vidcast, and I won't. I'll forget about it, but never mind.
Good, because you're probably right, and I don't want to...
I doubt it. So, V for Vendetta, Hellboy 2, Defendor, Super, Kick-Ass.
Yeah.
None of these films are as good as V or Hellboy 2, I think.
No.
Good though they all are in their own ways.
You could probably break this into many ways. You could say, you could do what we've almost done with these 3, once we settle on the third one, which is best superhero movie adapted from an existing superhero comic. Then you could do the best superhero movies where the superhero was made up for the movie.
Yeah.
Although that would probably be Defendor, Kick-Ass, and
Super. Yeah.
Shut up, crime! In varying orders,
yeah.
And you could do best comic book movie not about superheroes, and that gives you your Sin City, Road to Perdition.
I was just going to say Sin City. Would that be on the list? Road to Perdition's really good, but I don't think it's in the top list here.
Are there that many? Well, it's 300.
300's really good.
Watchmen, but they're superheroes. But are they really superheroes?
And
they're
DC.
kind of dark anti-superheroes, and they're DC. But then Kick-Ass is technically Marvel.
Is he?
Yeah. In fact, yeah, I just listed Kick-Ass as was created for the movie, but it wasn't. The movie and the comic were written in tandem. And he's...
Do you know what? Let's go Hellboy 2.
Yeah.
V for Vendetta is a brilliant film. If you haven't seen it, don't. Go and read the book and then watch the film.
Yeah.
But Hellboy 2.
Hellboy 2.
Hellboy 2 is really good.
A lot of fun.
The final fight is really good. It's well choreographed. It's a sword fight, and I like sword fights.
Yeah.
The troll market is phenomenally good.
It's visually brilliant.
The design of the world.
The story is strong enough to support all the visual brilliance. It doesn't just rely on the visuals.
Plus, it's partly set in Northern Ireland, the UK.
Okay, so
Cool.
those three.
So there we have it then. There's our vidcast for the day, I think. So we've doubled our time. We're on to an hour now rather than our normal 30 minutes. So I apologise for that if you've got stuff that you should have been doing or if your oven's burned or whatever.
I think you can watch us in segments though. You can pause us and go away and come back.
Yeah.
We do kind of organically chapter ourselves up a bit, I think. You would watch the Lego Movie review in one go and then you would maybe watch this segment in one go.
But hopefully the next vidcast will be in a couple of weeks and it will be based around Captain America the Winter Soldier, along with whatever movie news is happening and maybe another discursive topic that we can talk about.
Any ideas, any suggestions, let us know.
Please
Not
do.
saying we'll listen to you, but we'll definitely, give it a chance. And as we mentioned earlier, any movies you would like us to review or just talk about, be they new or old or, big or bad or whatever, tell us. I'm not going to point to the comments section because I'll get my wrist slapped. It's over there. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching and
Bye now.